Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is our pitching preview show that we do with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com, a guy who's been a successful handicapper for almost 30 years professionally and having another profitable year in baseball this year. Is that true, Joe?
That is true. 27, we did pass our 27-year anniversary as far as being a public handicapper, but more approaching 40 years as far as handicapping on my own and whatnot. So another great year, and we've been sizzling as we file this report.
Well, I'll tell you who's been sizzling as we file this report, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com, is Chris Archer, right? 27 strikeouts over his last two starts. Now, sometimes we do see guys like that regress, you know, like Corey Kluber seems to be able to maintain it, but Michael Pineda is an example of a guy who regressed soon after having a start like that. Archer, 15 strikeouts in his last game. Is he more like Kluber or more like Pineda? What do we expect from him here?
Probably more like Kluber. He's a very solid pitcher. He also didn't walk anybody in his last outing, so even though he's pitching on the road, I think that if anything, Archer's a guy that you want to keep riding. He's a very solid pitcher indeed, and as you said, he's pitching extremely well. He's got a .84 ERA over his last three starts, so I can see no reason to really say to fade him at this point.
And then Johnny Cueto, you know, when he's great, he's great. He's returning, though, from elbow inflammation, right? And his first start back was pretty good. My sense is, though, that that elbow is going to act up at some time in the near future, more likely, I think, sooner than later. And I'm thinking that probably Cueto is going to go on the DL again this year. And before that happens, he's going to be a good bet against, maybe here against San Diego. What do you think?
Maybe not. Look, the pitching coaches, they know what they're doing. They talk with the trainers and the doctors. And Cueto actually threw 93 pitches, which is somewhat surprising for somebody who came off of some elbow stiffness. You would think that he would have been on a more strict pitch count, but I think his arm is obviously fine. He did throw a bad pitch to Chase Utley, but other than that, his stuff looked pretty good. I think Cueto is perfectly fine. I am not going to necessarily predict he's going to go on the DL. Look, anytime a pitcher's had arm problems, there's always a possibility he's going to go back, but I think Cueto is still one of the top pitchers in baseball, and the fact that he had a pretty high pitch count. His last outing tells me his arm is fine.
All right. I will make a prediction with Cueto, though, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Right. I'm going to predict, one, that he goes on the DL once again this year, you know, in the next few months, and that over his next, let's say, 8 starts, he's a good bet against.
Oh, okay. We shall see.
We shall see.
I like to, you know, take it one start at a time,
Absolutely.
Although I do kind of put I say I have certain guys that I'm looking at to be undervalued or overvalued. But look, he's a big-name pitcher, and, as a general rule of thumb, look, guys, the caliber of Cueto, they're more likely to be a little bit overvalued, where the undervalued are going to be the number 3 and 4 type starters. So, not a vociferous disagreement,
Sure.
I guess.
Okay. And then we have Cole and Alex Wood in Pitt and Atlanta. And Cole, a really strong arm. He's given like 7 innings, 1 or 2 runs, start in and start out. And Pittsburgh has won 8 out of his 11 starts this year. Alex Wood, though, can be very good. Got off to a kind of a rough start this year, but has now had 3 straight excellent starts. And I'm thinking that maybe this pitching matchup might be a dead heat, despite the fact that Cole overall has had a much better year. What do you think?
Well, again, Alex Wood's one of those guys that I like. He started out very slowly, but now he's turning it around, and he seems to be regressing. This means he's got a good young arm. He's somebody who was expected to pitch more like he has over his last 3 outings, and he's also pitched pretty well against the Pirates, where has a 2.87 career ERA against them, in addition to having 3 wins, going 22 innings in his last 3 starts with a 1.23 ERA. So I would agree with you. Wood seems to be a pitcher that you want to ride, but at the same time, Garrett Cole and the Pirates are playing tremendous baseball, including playing very well on the road. So I don't think you can make a strong argument to fade either one of these pitchers. Maybe it will be a low-scoring game.
Okay, that's what I wanted to get to from Sunday, June 7th. Joe Duffy, what else would you like to bring to our attention that might indicate possible betting value this Sunday?
Well, a game that could see 1 million runs. You got to think either Ryan Vogelsong or Sean O'Sullivan should get slapped around. Vogelsong really struggling on the road this year. 6.21 road ERA, 7 home runs, 20 earned runs in 29 innings. Teams are hitting .291 on the road against him, but then again, he's facing Sean O'Sullivan. As we said, the Phillies have 2 pitchers and then a patchwork pitching staff, and certainly O'Sullivan part of that patchwork. His last 2 starts, he's gotten pounded, 20 hits, 11 runs, 2 walks in just 11 1/3 innings pitched, 8.74 ERA in the last 2. So either one of these guys should get slapped around, and I really don't expect either one to have a very good outing. So this is one of those games that has 10, 11 runs written all over it.
All right, I certainly can hear that, can understand it. It just makes me a little bit nervous betting, expecting a high offensive production from Phillies offense. What's your take on Phillies offense right now? Are they a team that you don't mind betting on to be productive if the situation calls for it?
It is true. When you're in a slump and you're struggling on the road, one place to pitch would be not so much Citizens Bank Park, which is actually a pretty good hitter's park, but against the Phillies bats. You are correct. The Phillies bats don't necessarily inspire a lot of fear, but Vogelsong is struggling. He should give up at least 3 or 4 runs, and O'Sullivan, before he's chased, he might give up 4 runs himself. So I think at least one of these pitchers should come pretty close to putting the game, or should approach the total themselves before they're chased in about the 4th or 5th inning.
All right, interesting thoughts. Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. We'll see how this turns out. Thanks.